Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Creative Conversation. I am joined today by the wonderful Amy from Mango and Wild, a marketing agency that's also built on the love for helping small businesses grow with clarity, confidence, and creativity. Amy's story is one that many of you will relate to. So she worked in corporate marketing, decided to sort of stay away from that and build something on her own terms. So she began helping her friends with their business during lockdown, and then Mango and Wild grew from there. And she now has a fully fledged business working with clients in lots of different industries. Amy has also recently become a mum and is currently on maternity leave, or at least the version when you're self employed. So she's balancing client work and also grown her business. Well, we've just discussed how that's actually on the back burner, so we can probably get into that. And yeah, I know a lot of you will probably find the new juggle that Amy has relatable, so I'm excited to hear about that. And we also both work in marketing, so I'm sure there'll be a few useful insights in this episode. Okay, hi Amy.
Hello, thank you for having me.
That's okay. Right, so just to get us in the swing of things, I've got three quick fun openers.
Yeah.
So the first one is, what did you want to be when you were younger, and did you ever think you'd own your own business?
So when I was younger, I always thought I would work with animals, being an animal lover. I absolutely love them. And I actually thought I would be a vet. That was always my dream job. But I don't think I was quite academic enough to be a vet, unfortunately. But yeah, I didn't ever imagine having my own business and ever imagine, I guess, doing something academic in the sense of going to university and doing marketing and stuff like that. So no, it was definitely not something I ever thought was on the cards for me.
That's so funny because last week we recorded my episode of this. So, like, Amy, that's on my team, was asking me the questions. And that was one of the things I wanted to be when I was younger as
Oh,
well, was a
really?
vet. But yeah, I'll let you listen to it. You'll hear why I
Oh,
say
yeah.
it in
I'll
just
have to listen back to
a
that one.
What is your coffee order? What do you order in a coffee shop?
So I am probably a boring coffee drinker in the sense of I just have a traditional cappuccino, or in the summer it would be a caramel frappuccino. But
Ooh.
yeah, very, very plain and
Yeah,
simple.
I'm a latte as well. I'm pretty plain.
Pretty basic.
What is your most used emoji on your brand's Instagram?
I would 100% probably say the one that's a little magnifying glass because it's
Oh
always to do
yeah.
with SEO, and yeah, it's probably my go-to one for search.
Yeah, now you've said that you do use that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So now we're into it. Let's speak about your business backstory. So basically, we want to know how you got here. So I feel like a lot of people see just like the polished stuff online, but what were your jobs before this and how did it lead you to Mango and Wild?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I've probably had a lot of random jobs, if I'm honest. Like I say, I always thought it would be with animals and things like that. So, I kind of went into the route of doing like equine physiotherapy and stuff like that because I thought, well, I can't be a vet. So, I'll go for the next level down in terms of doing like physio with animals. And again, having horses and stuff, I thought I'd go into being specialised in horses. I quickly discovered that being kicked and bitten and attacked by horses every day was not fun. And I didn't then
No.
enjoy having my own horse, that I kind of quickly shifted from that. But yeah, I didn't really know what to do. I think, like most young people, worked in pubs and all that sort of thing until a family friend came and said that she needed help with her childminders. So she had a childminding business, and I thought, yeah, all right, not massively a fan of children maybe at the time, but yeah, it's seems like a nice job and a rewarding one. So I kind of ventured off doing that, and I again absolutely loved childcare. Wasn't something I ever thought I would do, and did my qualifications to also become a childminder myself. And funnily enough, I always thought then that that would be my career path, because I was just really, really happy with it. It wasn't the best of pay, but I was really, really happy. I absolutely loved it. Discovered I loved children a lot, and supporting them. But it was when a few years after I met my husband, we needed to obviously get a mortgage. And at the time, he was self employed, he's got his own business. And it was really, really difficult to basically get a mortgage or the mortgage size we wanted. You know, he had a flat already, and it was just, we was always getting the same mortgage for the flat. So it was never kind of a next step upgrade kind
Yeah.
of thing. So it was after that that I kind of had to change careers and basically just went into an admin role just because it had a higher salary, and it was just kind of almost a middle ground to hopefully get us the mortgage we wanted, and then I could go back to childcare after that, because it's not that we couldn't afford the mortgage, it's just being
Yeah, getting it.
self-employed, you have to jump through many more hoops. So yeah, I started a admin job for a company that supported the Ministry of Defence, so ships and sewage and all that stuff, which was again
Oh,
not an industry I thought I would be within. And then I kind of from there quickly fell into marketing because they was changing ownerships. It was a family run business, and the father was basically, you know, shifting it over to his son. So they wanted to, I guess, put their own stamp on the business, revamp it, bring it back up to like a modernized business. And they wanted someone to basically support with that in house. And that's when I kind of fell into the world of marketing, supporting with rebranding, supporting them with their like new strategy, working with an external consultant that they had. And yeah, just absolutely loved it and just really found a passion within marketing that I didn't ever think I would have. That yeah, I ended up, you know, doing a qualification and things further into marketing and supporting that business for a number of years, helping them, you know, build strategies for new businesses and things they brought. And then yeah, my journey kind of just evolved from that in terms of, you know, working for other marketing companies, corporate companies, agencies, where then I just kind of fell into having my own business, I guess.
amazing. Yeah, it's funny that you just kind of fell into it. I like that. And you obviously experienced a lot of different types of businesses before you decided to go into marketing, and that's probably helped you work with a lot of different industries.
Yeah, definitely. And it's amazing when you look back at actually there's probably a lot of marketing things I was doing for all these businesses, you know,
Yeah,
like the childminders pre even knowing about marketing really. And when I think about it, it was probably always the bits that I really enjoyed doing as
yeah,
much as I loved doing like the childcare. I probably did enjoy doing more the back end stuff of the business with like the Facebook pages and doing flyers and all of that kind of creative stuff. So it's amazing how yeah, I then got given that opportunity to kind of expand on that and then ended up, you know, having it as something that I love and would always do now.
yeah. So where did the idea come for your business?
Again, it wasn't something I ever wanted to do. I was quite happy being a marketer or a marketing manager, you know, agencies and things. And I think probably like a lot of people, COVID happened and I was bored. So again, lots of my friends had businesses and things that they came to me for tips and help and stuff because
Yeah,
obviously they needed to keep working to be able to earn an income. So because I had the time, because I was furloughed, I, you know, supported them with doing things. And many of them were kind of always saying, God, Amy, you need to like help more people. You know, you've got so much information and so much knowledge. And it's just kind of like sat there in your brain and not being utilized almost. And I was always like, no, like happy helping you guys, but I'm happy with my job, you know, don't want to do any more. And it was a friend who literally was like, right, we're starting an Instagram page, because she'd obviously had her own business, knew how to, I guess, like put a business together. She was like, right, let's just do something. Even if it becomes a little hobby, it might help you to like learn more marketing skills or
yeah,
learn different things to help you within your corporate career. So yeah, she kind of helped me create like the name, came up with an Instagram page, and then it just evolved from there. And again, I never thought it was going to be a business. I always looked at it as like a hobby or a bit of like side pocket money if, you know, everything like anything did come through it, for example. And then yeah, I over the years kind of just worked very much. I worked full time and was doing it along the side because I didn't see it as something I ever wanted to pursue. I just enjoyed it as a bit of fun. It helped me learn different things, I guess, with like social media and stuff like that, which was an area that I like specialized in. And then I guess over time, I just soon realized that actually more and more people needed help, and there was so many people out there not utilizing maybe like certain areas of marketing, for example SEO, that I suddenly was like, actually I could do this more. I'm really, really passionate about, I guess, specializing in these specific areas of marketing, that I then, I guess over the time evolved on going down to part time and then evolved to going full time with it. But yeah, it was still always a big scary jump. And sometimes I still question, is being just full-time business the right thing that I and it definitely is, because whenever I think about going back to work for someone, I'm like, never again, like I can't work for someone. But at the time it took me so long to make the jump because of, I guess, fear of, what if it fails, or fear on, when you've got bills and mortgages, it's very scary to kind of just take that risk. And I think in the business world, when I started, a lot of people that I kind of, I guess, looked up to or followed and stuff, they were all very much people that were maybe a bit younger than me, but living at home, or, you know, could take the risk, I guess. So they didn't have, so it was really hard to try and be like, well, so and so's doing it, so what stops me doing it? Because
Yeah.
every time I looked at someone online, I was like, but they have no responsibility on like a mortgage or big bills. They can just, if it doesn't work or they don't get paid tomorrow, they can just, they live at mum and dad's. It's okay, kind of thing. So I think that's what made it really hard for my mindset to shift to actually them taking that plunge, because you do compare to other people on, I guess, their what ifs and your circumstances as such.
Yeah. Our stories from that point are quite similar. So I started helping my friend, and then it grew from there and it became a business. And I was the exact same. The business got big and kept getting bigger and bigger. And then I was like, if I'm going to make a go of this, I need to make the jump. But it took me forever to make the jump. But it was for the exact same reasons as you're saying. Like we
Yeah.
had a mortgage, things to pay for. And I hear this a lot from people that they do have a business, but it's on the side. And they're like, I would love to do it full time, but how did you do it? And I wanted to know that question when I was in that.
Yeah.
So, what made you go, right, let's do the jump now?
I think it was just having the support from my like family and other half, for
Yeah,
example, saying, every day I'd be like, or every week I'd be like, oh God, I've got so much work, I'm overworking because I'm got too much client work on, and I don't want to say no, because obviously if I say no to
yeah,
these clients, it's less word of mouth, and I need this word of mouth to be able to grow the business and keep getting clients. So I, always said yes to new clients and new people. That, yeah, I was just constantly almost burned out because of it. And my other half would just say to me every day or every week, just quit, just quit, just quit. Why are you still working at for the company? Why are
my
you still
husband
working
used
for
to
the
say the exact
company?
same.
And I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, okay, well, I'll see where I'm at next week or next month, and I'll sit down and see what finances we've got coming in." And I think it just took it it's so hard to say, like, you can plan for it because it is such a scary step, but you do just have to almost one day say to yourself, just take the plunge, and, what's the worst that can happen? You'll just have to find another job, and you might have a few weeks of stress or whatever, but you don't know until you try, I guess. And yeah, I think I just woke up one day and was like, right, today's the day to hand my notice in and finally make this, this little thing that was a project or a little side hustle to be my actual career, really.
Yeah. And so obviously the messy in between is like when you're juggling the full time job, the business, trying to make it grow. What did that look like? You have said stress, and I fully understand that. But what do you wish people knew more about that part?
I think it would be, for me, probably maybe having better plans in place, because at this time I didn't probably know a lot about, I knew enough about business, but not a lot in terms of like systems or processes or contracts and all that sort of stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, I had contracts and stuff, but I probably didn't pay enough interest to it. I just had them and was a bit like, kind of almost, till it goes wrong, let's see what, like,
Yeah,
don't
this
worry
is
about
so
it.
funny because I just recorded again other episodes, and one of the things that's like what I've learned in business or what I wish I did. And I had the same, I had contracts, but if someone said to me, what does that actually mean? Like if I'm leaving, like a client, I'd be like, and I would have to go and Google it. I didn't have a clue. But now the contracts are more simple. I thought they had to have like fancy words and
Yeah.
stuff. As long as you're just putting your terms and what you expect from the client, that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly that. So there was many times where, not that I really touch wood, even now I've had clients that have been with me since the day the business started, which I'm
Yeah.
so thankful for. But there was times where things would go a little bit wrong, or people would question like, oh, so after this month, does that mean we don't, the contract ends, or, what's the terms and stuff like that. So it was definitely all those things that would probably made more stress for me. And because I'm not an expert in law and
No.
all of that stuff, I think that was a lot of pressure when it did go wrong and clients did ask questions. So I feel like it's kind of, as much as they're the things that I think when you start a business, you want to do the thing that you're the expert in. And that's why, we're all experts in our own areas, because we all then support each other. Hopefully, you pay an accountant because they're the expert
Yeah.
in finances. You pay a marketer because they're the expert at marketing and growing your business, for example. And it's really hard because when you're starting a business, budgets are so tight. It's really hard, I guess, to want to invest or feel like you've got a pot of money to spend on the business. And I never really had a saving pot where I would put like money into a pot for the business when I first started, because I just felt like I never could. But looking back, I kind of wish that even if I just put like, I don't know, £10 a month or £20 a month in that pot, it probably would have helped me get out of a lot of stressful situations, in terms of being able to, like, I don't know, pay for a consultancy call with someone to say, can you just read over my contracts, or can we just have a call to go over this, or with a business advisor or something that says these are the main things you need in place for your business before you even you know
Mhm.
work with clients or so forth. So I think that would be my messy middle, probably.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. And when you're in that messy middle, you like you said, you feel like you can't afford to outsource. So that's such good advice. Like if you're starting out, start to put money away for that. I remember when I had decided to hand in my notice to my job and I was leaving, I booked a call with a girl that's also in marketing. I had been following her and I was just like, I wanted to know our processes and what she was doing and such. And to be fair, she didn't actually need to tell me
Yeah.
that information, but I would do the same if someone asked me. Like, we obviously work in the same industry,
Yeah.
and if you're stuck, I'll help you, and then, like, vice versa, you'll help me when I've got questions. So I'm a big believer in doing that. But yeah, I paid for a call with her, and some of the stuff I still refer to now, like 5 years later, because I'm like, oh yeah, that. And she just basically helped. What I was doing it was just a hobby. I was just doing stuff as it was coming in. There was no processes, there was no systems. And she just helped me. She was like, this is what I do, and this is why I do it. And I didn't copy what she said, but I was like, oh, I could take that and
Yeah.
do that with it.
100%. And I think that's it, isn't it? It's having reassurance that you're doing it right, because, you're going from one job or one small part of a job to doing, loads and
Everything.
loads of things. And the same, I worked for an agency before I started my business, and I was their like paid ads director. So I was managing all the ads accounts, but I never done the front facing stuff on contracts and
Yeah.
all the legality bits and things. So it was always like you felt like there's chunks missing. And that's another really good point you say about, like, you booked that call with someone. And I think that's another thing, is I think we sometimes fear like, and I still have it now with like outreach, for example, is we always feel like, oh, if we message someone and they don't respond, we're going to look like idiots, or,
Yeah.
it feels embarrassing or whatever. And I just think, actually, when you do just hit send, 9 times out of 10, like, some people might not respond, but most people do. And most people are there to, like, just help or simply give advice. And I do wish that I probably stopped following people online thinking, "Oh, how are they doing that?" or "Why are they doing that?" and questioning things, and actually just asked, because I might have had things in place a lot quicker or understood things a lot quicker if I did just kind of, I guess, put myself out there and not be afraid to be let down.
And everyone's the same as well. Like, you can look at people's Instagrams. I've looked at people and thought, "Oh, wow, what they're doing is amazing." And then maybe if I follow them a little bit more, or I've invested in something that they're selling, I'm like, "Oh, I could have done that."
Yeah,
Like, we're all the same.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, you definitely need to reach out. And I know not everyone is, but I definitely am up for helping people.
yeah. Me too.
Okay, so what about your business and mindset? So what do you think makes you a good businesswoman, Amy?
Oh God, I don't know. I think just being maybe forward thinking, in the sense of forward thinking and supportive. Like we've just said, I'd like to think me being a good businesswoman is helping others. I think that's always something I've wanted. It's, the main reason I guess I started Mango and Wild. I guess I I don't know if that's something that makes you a good businesswoman, but I'd like to think that having an open approach, to others and things I do within the business
Yeah,
helps me to become a good businesswoman.
yeah. It's so funny because every guest I've asked that question, they don't know what to say, or
No,
they don't think themselves as businesswomen. And that must be a women thing.
I know.
We don't, it's like we can't talk ourselves
I
up.
know, it's like yeah, it's like giving yourself a compliment and you're a bit like, "Oh, am I that good?
It's
I don't
also very
know."
much a UK thing. We don't give each other, like, ourselves
I
compliments.
know, I think it's always easy to be negative, isn't it, than it is positive,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, how do you deal with, like, conflict or anything difficult that comes up in business?
Probably cry first. No. Joking.
Are you a crier, Amy?
No, I'm not actually, but I get very like, when something's on my mind, I can't forget about it and I have to
Yeah, I'm
constantly
the
talk
same.
about it. My other half will sometimes come through the door and I'll be like, "Ugh," and then he'll give me advice and then I'm like, "Yeah, but,"
Yeah,
I have to like, and until something like it gets dealt with, I find it really difficult. So that is probably a really big challenge in terms of mindset, because clients come and go. It's just the way of life. But sometimes I've had clients in the past where they've kind of messaged like, "We need to cancel the contract, stop everything immediately." And you're like, "Oh my God, what have I done? The world has ended, things are going completely wrong." And I am so stressed from that point until, and then 9 times out of 10, I will respond, get on a call with them to say, "We've got a month's notice. Let's have a conversation so we can go through what we need to do for the following month to ensure we support you as the best possible way." And then 9 times out of 10, it's just that they're like getting too many sales, that they can't, they don't want to do ads anymore, or they've had some personal issues that just means they need to slow down the business. So it's never actually anything I've done, touch wood. But yeah, I think for me, it's talking about it. And that's probably where my go-to is my husband, who I probably chew his ear off on everything. But he's my, I guess, my calm to my like rationale of panic.
yeah, I'm the same. I will just, like, offload all the stress because I feel like a stress shared is a stressed half. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't feel as bad when I get it out and then I hear someone else's perspective of it. Or sometimes you just need someone to say, Am I right?" Like,
yeah,
if you're seeing it the right way. And my husband is very good at saying, "Oh, yeah, you are right," or "No, you're
yeah,
actually not." So, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Another thing I was thinking of when you were speaking, that a lot of the times I've learned through business is that, what is the saying? Someone else's emergency doesn't need to become your urgency.
yeah,
And I think when we do work in marketing, a lot of the time it's like, you need to do this now, we need to stop this now. And that's fine. And I fully understand the business owner's perspective when they say that. But I've learned, and before I would be like, yeah, okay, right, we need to go and do that. But now it's definitely a work in progress to be like, well, great, I will do that, but I need to do this first.
yeah.
And it's sort of like setting boundaries, I think helps with that.
100%. I was going to say that was probably the biggest thing that I again, it's always a work in progress, but boundaries is the biggest thing because, yeah, I'm exactly the same. I often have my day planned and then I open my emails and people are like, we need this account live today, or,
Yep.
why haven't you responded? And
Yep.
it's like, you know, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't get done within the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Everyone has their allocated slots and you have to just learn to accept that things are going to get done and you're going to see your success as a client. You just have to trust the process, I guess, leading up to that.
100%. I always say to the girls on the team, we're not heart surgeons, we're not brain surgeons. No one's going to die if that doesn't go out. We're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, this actually moves on quite well. Do you find it difficult to switch off?
100.
And how
Yeah.
do you manage that?
100%. I think the way I'm managing it now is being a new mum and I have a child that depends on me. Probably without that little guy, I would still be working ridiculous hours if I'm totally honest. I even, when you mentioned at the start about maternity, I think I had a week or 2 weeks off and was back on my laptop after having him. Not because I needed to work. Well, I did in the sense of I've got a team that I needed to check in
Yeah,
with. So it wasn't like I was, working crazily doing work, but I had to still check in. And I don't know if that's just my personality that, yeah, I just can't switch off. And I think sometimes I sit there and I think, why am I doing this? Or, why do I need to be doing this later? Or, like for example, at the moment I've got a lovely routine. My mother-in-law and my mum helped me amazingly for me to be able to work. And I have set days where it is just me and little man's days. And even on those days, he goes for a nap and I'm like, oh, I could just get this done, or oh, I could do some, social media post, or and I don't know why it is, but I think every time I kind of think about it, I always just think to myself, I do love what I do. Like even like letting know my client work. I love posting on Instagram. I don't really need to post on Instagram in the sense
yeah,
of I don't actually really get that many clients from there unless I'm running ads. But I don't know. For me, I guess it's that creativity and it gives me something to enjoy and do. And I kind of think to myself, well, if that helps someone with that one message, then that's a success. And as much as this is a business and it has to pay, to be able to pay for my life and my bills and all of that sort of stuff, I generally do love what I do. I think it's that cliche, like it doesn't feel like work, but
yeah.
I don't think it does, and that's why sometimes I think it is hard to switch off.
I've got a good question that actually ties into that in a moment, but I wanted to ask you this. See, when you had to go back to work a week, 2 weeks after having your baby, how were you feeling doing that?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I feel like it was easy. I think but I just can't sit still, I think literally it was 48 hours after having the little one, I was out, I'd gone for a walk and everyone was a bit like, "Oh my God, how are you out already?" kind of thing. And I think I am just a get-go person, I guess.
Yeah.
I've got horses, I'm always busy. And I think for me, it felt your hormones as well are so all over the place when you first have a baby. I mean, I've never cried so much in my life for no apparent reason after having a child, and I've never cried. I'm not a crier. And I think it just gives you something, and yeah, it gives your brain something to do and something that's not just them. And I think for me, I actually found it helpful because having a child is such a shock to the system, and especially for us, we've been together 11 years before having a little one. So we've just kind of gone off and done our own lives whenever we wanted. I've just, been able to go to the horse every day of my life. And then suddenly everything stops and you can't do that. And I felt like at the time I was very frustrated with my husband because he could go to work. He could continue going to the pub. He could go and play golf. And I think for me, it was like, at least I can do this. I can do something that I want to do and can do. So I think for me, it probably helped my hormones and mindset being
Yeah.
able to still work a little bit rather than
Kept you
completely
going.
stopping on everything.
No, I think that's actually really helpful to hear. And I think one of the things that a lot of new mums that I've heard from like my friends that have had babies struggle with is you kind of like lose yourself a
Yeah,
little bit. Because, like you say, the dad usually their life goes out of sync for a couple of weeks when they're on paternity, and then they can just kind of slowly go back to normal. And because mums get so long maternity, sometimes you're not back in your job for over a year.
yeah,
So you do kind of lose yourself, and you feel like your only purpose is being this newborn's
right.
cuddle monster, feeding them, etc. So it is nice to hear it in a positive way, I guess, that it's what kept you going.
Yeah, definitely, because that's it, and it's a bit like I love cooking, and I'm, probably the cook of our household, and even doing things like that, I couldn't because it was always feeding time, and I
Yeah,
breastfed, so you know, the other half would get home, and he was amazing. He'd get in straight away, do dinner. I would just continue sitting on the sofa, but I was like, I don't want to be on the sofa being a couch
yeah,
potato anymore. Like I'm done with sitting here. So for me, it felt nice to be able to think, well, I know I wasn't just sat there because I'm, feeding my child and nurturing them and everything else. But I guess on the same side, it was nice to be able to go, okay, well, at least I'm doing something else in terms of, and something that's me on what I enjoy and what I like doing. So yeah, I definitely found as much as it was stressful, and I kind of sometimes think, like now I'm at a different place and everything seems good with mum life and business because we've got a routine and a balance, whereas those first 2 months are very tricky and you're running on no sleep because they're up every hour, every
mhm,
5 minutes feeding. But in the same sense, I'm pleased. As much as it was difficult, when I look back I do think, well, I'm pleased I was able to still carry on, even if it was just answering an email or
yeah.
you know having a phone call with a team member while breastfeeding. It gave me sanity, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I've obviously never had a baby, but I do understand that if I go through something like stressful in my personal life, I tend to throw myself into work because when you tick something off or you get good feedback or you've completed a task, get that buzz that like
Yeah,
you've done something good, and I can see how that would keep you going.
yeah, definitely.
So, a question I got from when I was doing research on questions to ask women in business, someone who works on a side hustle alongside their job wanted to know what business owners do to stop their sort of passion project becoming stressful. So, she's an artist, and I think she's a bit scared that if she did it full time, she wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Mm.
Do you feel like you've ever resented the work you do now that it's like your full-time job and there's a lot of like pressure on it?
I don't think so. I think it is just reminding yourself all the time of those boundaries. I think the only time
Yeah,
it gets stressful is if you don't have those boundaries in place. Like the same for me is, when I've kind of overcommitted and said yes to too many projects, that's when I kind of sometimes resent it because I think, oh my God, why am I doing all of this? What's this
yeah,
for? And I think as long as you, yeah, have that boundary in place and I don't I think then it would be okay. But I get it is sometimes really hard to put those boundaries in place.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, you've got to if you take on too much, you do start being like, what
Yeah.
is the point in this? Okay, one good thing about running a business and one thing that drives you mad.
I feel like this is like the same thing, but it is the one good thing I guess about running a business is you do have the freedom that, like I've got my own horse and I can go off to do the horse whenever I want. I've got my little one, like I can stop whenever I want at work and go and have cuddles or have my days with him now where we, go out for the day or whatever. And I love that we've got that freedom. I love that I can just look in the diary and go, yeah, we can go on holiday then. But the caveat is I feel like I never do have that freedom, or what comes with that freedom is like the guilt of, oh, well, I should be working, or, you have an afternoon off and you come back to your desk the next day and you've had another 30 emails or whatever come through from clients with additional work and stuff that you then feel like guilty and stressed again on, damn it, I haven't planned for any of this stuff. And if I didn't do that thing yesterday, I wouldn't be sat here stressed now because of all this extra stuff. So yeah, that's probably the really frustrating thing about business sometimes is you have the freedom, but then sometimes you feel like you don't. But I guess that's where it is again, putting those boundaries in place. And I'm not very good at again saying probably no, or saying to people, actually, like I always say, I don't work like Mondays and Fridays for definite now, but I've never worked Fridays, but for somehow jobs always creep in, or I've always been like, yeah, I'll have a phone call on a Friday, because I'm like, I don't want it to carry over to the next week. But I'm equally like, why do I do that? Because it's not my problem.
Yeah, your answer is pretty much the same as mine, but something that I'm trialing the next 2 weeks is I have been working like crazy hours, and we've had like team holidays and stuff. There's lots going on, so obviously I have to pick up the work, which is fine. I don't mind doing it. But I've got one of these Aura rings now. Have you heard of them?
Yes, yeah.
And my stress levels, Amy, are
Mhm.
crazy. But if you said to me, "Do you feel stressed?" I'd be like, "No, not really."
No,
And then I look
exactly.
at the thing and it's obviously from your heart rate. Anyway, so for the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna try and finish at like a decent time, so like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And what I'm trying to get into my head is, am I putting these boundaries on, no, the pressure on myself and the expectations, or is it my client? And I'm just thinking it's my clients, but it's actually me, because a lot of the time I'm like, oh, sorry for the delay on this. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, they probably don't even realize it wasn't even delayed. Like,
No.
so I'm working on that as well. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's great having the freedom, but sometimes the freedom is the worst thing, because I kind of miss the structure of a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
but I love the freedom of being able to be like, oh well, we could just work then and all that.
And that's exactly the same, because it's the same as me, winter's looming now. And if I was in a 9 till 5, I'd be going, oh my God, I can't get to my horse, or I've got to do my
Yeah.
horse in the pitch black because it's too dark now. Whereas now I can actually go down at 9 in the morning if I want to, or in the middle of the day and ride, or, straight after this phone call and do that. And I love that because I can just do, the thing I'm passionate about more. But equally, what comes with that is sometimes I'm like, because I've maybe gone to the horse in the day, I sometimes then think, oh, well, I better check my emails at 7 o'clock at night just in case the world has ended. And
Yeah.
then I stress myself out. So I know it's me
Oh yeah.
doing it, but yeah, I just keep constantly saying to myself boundaries. And one thing I've been doing is I'm very good at, like, my calendar is my diary, what I have to get done every day. And I always just kind of say to myself, at the end of the day or whatever, if I finished, done everything on my list. So turn the laptop off, close it down. And started trying to actually turn my laptop off physically, because I think when it's just like on, I can just quickly, wiggle my mouse and everything's there again. Whereas if I shut it down, I'm a bit more like, oh, it's a bit more effort to open it, I guess. So that
I
kind of helps.
I do that with my business phone now. I used to just like obviously lock it if I wasn't on it. And then if I went into like the office in the house, the little room that's my office, I'm like, wonder if there's a message, and we
Yeah,
just like touch it. So now I'm like, nope, turn it off. And I suppose it's like a physical thing as well. Like you're detaching yourself
yeah.
from it. Okay, if you had to start again tomorrow, what one thing would you do differently?
If I was to start again tomorrow, I think it would be, I don't think there's anything I'd do differently. I would probably just try to be more confident to put myself out there more, in terms of not being afraid with like connection, community, and outreach. That's always been like a big goal of mine, you know, doing things like these podcasts and stuff like that, because I hope that doing that helps someone.
Yeah.
Um, but I've never been very good at I'm always kind of waited for things to come to me, and I'm very thankful that I've had lots of opportunities come my way, but I've never put myself out there because it's that fear of rejection, I guess, fear of someone saying no. And I wish that maybe I did that more because maybe, like the dream collaborations or the things sometimes I wish I maybe had now when I look at other people who have got those opportunities. Maybe I would have those if I did put those things in place sooner.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is, you do need to put yourself out there and sort of just deal with rejection if it does
Yeah.
come. Okay, the most challenging part of your job. I know we've talked about like the flexibility, but I guess maybe people that are listening, because we both in marketing, we could say, what is the most challenging part of working in marketing?
I think marketing is just like ever changing. So like the biggest
Yeah.
challenge for me at the moment is doing for example, SEO is like one of my predominant things that I specialize in. Well, ads as well actually is always a changing. And we've got, for example, all this AI stuff and
Yeah.
everything's always so unknown sometimes. And I think sometimes clients expect you to know the answers instantly when something's come out. And I think that's sometimes the challenge I find is there's always something new happening and it's trying to keep up with all the trends and everything else within the world of marketing, I think is the challenge.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. And so I think I've learned probably this year just to be like, I actually don't know, but I'll find
Yeah.
out the answer.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, okay. Any particular wins or success stories you could think of, Amy, that you're proud of and keep you going about your business?
I think it is the wins of like have knowing that my clients have been with me so long, I think, and
Yeah,
I think that's a big win for me because it shows that I am, I guess, doing the right things if they've been with me, for 5 years and stuff. So I think that's probably the thing that keeps me going is it is my clients, I guess, and their successes. There's nothing that particularly stands out, but it's definitely having the wins of knowing that you're helping those companies and them staying with you to see the success.
definitely. I said something similar as well. There's no better review than someone working with you for
Yeah,
years. So we've obviously touched on being a mum and you getting 1 to 2 weeks of maternity leave,
yeah.
but how are you managing running the business and being a mum?
I'm kind of like I say, when I was pregnant, I took on a team member. So it's been helpful having more team members to be able to manage stuff and delegate to.
Yeah,
I'm also very thankful that I guess I got a pool of freelancers that I use as well, like yourself. That definitely helps take the pressure off. And I think otherwise it's just having systems and processes and making sure you've got, checklists, I guess. So we predominantly use Asana. It's always just worked for me. And it's really
yeah,
nice
we
that
use
we
it
can set
all.
up reoccurring events. So again, hopefully nothing gets missed with clients' accounts on what tasks and deliverables we need to do month on month. So I definitely and most of our clients are also in each Asana board, so again they can
Yeah,
communicate. So again, I think it's having that streamlined process has helped because I'm not kind of being like, oh, this person emails, this person WhatsApp, this person's on Asana, this person's here. It's everything's quite streamlined. So hopefully if I'm not on a working day, someone else can pick something out, something up
yeah.
to allow the business to be able to run, without me and at times really.
Yeah, that is something that yeah, you do get to a point in business that you need to have that. Before I had team members, I would go on holiday and it would be like everything would just stop. And then
Yeah,
you would come back and it's like trying to churn up this
yeah,
machine again. And I guess for like a client experience, I don't want them to ever feel like if I go on holiday that their stuff isn't still ticking
yeah,
over. And don't get me wrong, there are some questions that the girls can't answer
yeah,
because it's not areas that they work in. And I mean, that's fine. If you phoned Tesco, the person that answers the phone can't answer a question of,
yeah, yeah,
so that's just the way it is. But yeah, you do need to. When I first took on team members, I feel like I protected them a lot from clients,
yeah,
but I think you're doing yourself no favors
yeah,
doing that because you're still doing all the communication. So yeah, I really do agree with that's a way to keep it going.
yeah,
I know your little one's still tiny, but I've asked people on the podcast that have got older kids, like, do you feel the pressure of because you work for yourself, you pick up the slack? But I know your husband also works for himself. So,
Yeah, I definitely do feel it still falls on me more.
yeah,
'Cause I guess my business, he's a tiler by trade, so for him to kind of drop tools and get
yeah,
somewhere
it's
is
a
a lot
lot.
longer than me being. And his job, if he had to take half a day off, he wouldn't be able to make that time up. I guess like people don't want him chiseling away in their bathroom at 10 o'clock at night, for
No.
example. So it definitely does become, I guess, more of a pressure for me, and it definitely can be a challenge because little one's only 6 months now, but it's hard. I At the moment, my office is in the house, so I can often hear him if he's having an absolute tantrum downstairs with
Yeah.
nanny, and then sometimes there is that pressure with having to go and help and be able to support, but then it adds pressure to then family life sometimes, I guess, because if he's had a bad day and I've had to have more cuddles with him,
Yeah.
my husband gets home and's like absolutely knackered, and I'm like, well, you're going to have to do all of this because I've got to work still. um
Yeah.
so yeah,
And I
it's a
suppose
struggle.
it is different because in our type of work, we work well, most of the work's on retainer,
Mm,
so we still get paid, but we just need to fit the work in, and I suppose
yes.
when you're a tradesman like your husband, it's a little bit different. Last work-life balance question. Obviously, you're a mum now, Amy, so your priorities have changed. The days where you're working and your little ones with, like, their grandparents, what keeps you going to give up that time with them? Like, what do you love most about your job that you're like, "Okay,
I think
your
it is just
capacity to do that?"
I think it is just seeing other people's success. Like I know
Yeah,
I can open like a client's ads account and check in with the ads account and see, their like return on ad spend go up and think, yes, we're achieving what this business wants. And, this business and this person can now have the life that they choose because of that success that I'm allowing and helping support them with. So I think it is probably that in
yeah,
terms of what gets me up.
love that. What have been your biggest influences in business or in life that you think's got you where you are?
I've heard there is probably millions of people like on social media and stuff that I definitely follow, but I think my biggest influence, and I know it's like a cliche, but it's definitely my husband.
Yeah,
He's always been the one, like, he's got his own business, and I guess that's been really helpful to see how he's changed his business. And it was him and his dad, and now he's got a team of 5 people, and
wow,
diversified, I guess, his business so much. And I think that's what's been a big influence for me, and having him as an influence to trust and believe in me, I guess, to allow me to go out there and do it as well.
love that. Okay, where do you see Mango and Wild in 5 years?
Oh, it's always a good one because I always have like two ways of it going. I always sometimes think to myself, do I like the idea of like not an agency, but like a mini agency,
Yeah,
where we do have a team of experts and can support people in a lot more capacity, but then I guess equally being like one passion I really want to do, and it's always been something I've kind of progressed on, is doing some training and stuff as well. So being able to help lots of businesses, because obviously I know that the agency life is going to be for bigger brands, people who have the financial budgets to be able
yeah,
to pay for a big agency. And that's why I kind of want it to also be, I guess, a training academy is
love
maybe
that.
like my passion, because I hope that then anyone can implement and learn, ads and SEO to be able to take it on themselves and see that success. And I think because of the areas of marketing I work in, and people do fear it, and
Yeah,
especially when you're paying for ads, if you're spending £1,000 on ads, you don't want to then spend £1,000 on someone doing it for you, and a risk of it, what if it doesn't work. So I hope that by having more of a training academy, it will allow people to be able to have budgets, to be able to implement ads, to be able to see the success, to one day maybe be able to come back to us as an agency to support them in that way.
yeah, I love that, and doing something like that empowers business owners to, like, do it themselves, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes with marketing, it's the unknown that makes people a
Yeah.
bit scared about it. What advice would you give to someone who's considering working in marketing or doing what we do as a business?
I would just always say you can never stop learning, I guess.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to ask, is what I would say, because there's so many areas of marketing, there's so many tools and systems and things out there. And I would definitely say to always, yeah, I guess investigate and ask to be able to, progress and learn more from that.
Yeah, you need to invest in yourself as
Yeah,
well, like, you've got to invest in stuff. Quick fire round, so try and answer these in 1 or 2 words.
yeah.
Um, okay, green collab.
Definitely would probably be something like Meta or a SEO tool.
Yes, I could imagine you doing something with Meta.
Yeah.
1 word sums up your brand journey so far.
It comes in the name, but definitely wild.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a wild journey.
Wild journey. And your plan B job.
Oh, I don't think I have a plan B job, if I'm honest.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
probably what keeps you going because this has got to work.
Yeah, it probably is though. That is very true.
Okay, so on the podcast, we give the guest an opportunity to ask me a question
Yeah.
because I feel like when you're listening to podcasts, you're like, oh, I wonder what the host thinks. So, do you have a question for me, Amy?
Yeah, I would probably ask you, what's your dream for green creatives? Like, where do you see green creatives in 5 years?
I suppose it's quite similar to what you said. I've always toyed about like the bigger agency sort of thing. Do I want that? I think it is. I would like to have a little team, like bigger than what we've got. The girls are only part time that are on the team. So maybe like having a couple of full time members to take the pressure off of me. I ideally this year I've tried to work a lot on my personal brand. So that's why we've been like vlogging this podcast. So I'd love to sort of just work on projects in like a consultancy manner and do other things at events. I did a talk on Monday and things like that. But we still do the same work, but there's just a team that's dealing with it.
Yeah.
This year, we've actually worked with a charity locally called RASAC. They're like sexual violence victims charity. One of the reels we did last week went, I suppose, a little bit viral locally because they were responding to something that happened. And working with them has made me realize that a lot of the charities that are doing a like great work, they don't have the budget or the resources to outsource their social media properly. It's usually left with a team member and they do their best job that they can. But the difference that we've been making through their socials has made me realize that a lot of charities would benefit from that. And I
Yeah.
don't know if I would eventually like to do a little bit of pro bono stuff,
I love that.
like work, but it wouldn't just be with any charity, it would need to mean something. But yeah, I imagine us doing something like that down the line.
Nice. Love that. Yeah, that's such a brilliant idea.
Thank you.
No worries.
Well,
Well, thank you for having me.
thank you so much for coming. I will add Amy's details in the description so that you can connect with her. But she is the go-to for SEO optimization on your website and ads. I actually did my ads training with Amy, so she knows a lot about social and Google Ads.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's the go-to for that. And so if you're thinking of outsourcing any of that, then she's the person I would recommend. So I'll add all her details into the description and you can connect with her. So thank you so much.